Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Adventure and Mystery Book Club. I'm Bill Mallory, branch manager of the La Jolla Library, although not at the La Jolla Library today. Today, all the libraries are closed, actually, so this is our special closed library edition of the Adventure and Mystery Book Club. This is actually my backyard, and since we're doing it that way, because of course we all know Adventure and Mystery never takes a day off. But since I'm in the backyard, you may hear the occasional dog barking, or there may be a cat trying to jump up in my lap at some point. So if that happens, hey, we go with it. We are reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne, and we will read chapters 6 and 7 today. I hope you're following along. Things are starting to get interesting right now, so it's a good time to pick up and to jump in. Um, just a brief recap of what's been going on up to this point. Our esteemed marine biology professor, Pierre Arnex, and his faithful manservant Conseil have been asked to join the expedition to find the terrible undersea monster that is destroying ships. They found evidence in a very large ship that some long sort of harpoon object pierced the hull of this massive, otherwise very powerful ship, but it still punctured a hole straight through this inch and a half thick steel hull, and now the American government in the ship called the Abraham Lincoln, being led by Commander Farragut, is now searching the Pacific Ocean in order to find this amazing sea creature that is destroying ships. And in our last chapter, we met perhaps one of the best harpooners, according to our narrator anyway, a fellow named Ned Land, and the captain had offered a $2,000 reward for the first person to spot this giant sea creature. And so, of course, everyone was looking, and everyone's wanting to. They're on deck, and they've got their spyglasses out. And they're all checking things out. However, nobody has been able to find it. They're out there for months, and they don't see anything. And they're starting to lose interest. And the captain says, "Just give me a few more days. I really want to, try and catch this thing." And they end up not finding it, and on their way back, Ned Land, who was the least interested in finding this creature out of all of them, says, "There it is." And that's how we ended chapter 5. So now, if you are ready, we will start with chapter 6, entitled Full Steam Ahead. At this shout, the entire crew rushed toward the harpooner, commander, officers, boatswains, sailors, and cabin boys. Even the engineers and coal stokers left their posts. The order to stop had been given, and the frigate was now merely coasting. A great darkness reigned on the water, and no matter how good the Canadian's eyes might be, I wondered how he had been able to see what he had. My heart was beating so fast I thought it would burst. But Ned Land made no mistake, and all of us soon saw the object he was pointing to. At a distance of about 400 yards off at the Abraham Lincoln's starboard quarter, the sea seemed to be lit up from below. It wasn't merely a matter of some kind of phosphorescence. There could be no mistake about that. The monster was several fathoms below the surface and gave off the same intense and yet unexplainable glow that several ship captains had already mentioned. Such magnificent radiance could only come from some source of great power. The area of light covered an immense, very elongated, oval-shaped area in the water, and in the middle of this light was so intense that its brilliance was unbearable. "It's nothing more than a mass of tiny phosphorescent particles," cried one of the officers. "No," I answered with conviction. Small sea organisms can never produce such strong light. It must have some basically electrical source. Besides, look, it's moving. It's going forward, backward. It's heading for us. A shout rose from the crew of the frigate. Silence, said Commander Farragut. Helm to leeward, reverse engines. Sailors rushed to the helm and the engineers to the engine room. The ship's direction was immediately reversed, and the Abraham Lincoln cast to port and went round in a semicircle. Right helm, engines forward, cried Commander Farragut. These orders were carried out, and the frigate moved rapidly away from the source of light, or rather, it tried to move away. But the supernatural animal approached at a speed double that of the ship. We were all gasping for breath. Stupefied rather than afraid, we remained silent and stock still. The animal was gaining on us effortlessly. Even though the frigate was then traveling at 14 knots, this creature did a complete circle around us and enveloped our ship in its electrical sheets as if in some luminous dust. Then it went 2 or 3 miles off, leaving a phosphorescent trail like a swirling smoke left by a locomotive of an express train. Suddenly, from the dark edge of the horizon, where it had gone to get up momentum, it rushed headlong toward the Abraham Lincoln with terrifying speed, stopped abruptly 20 feet from her hull, and then disappeared. Not by diving down, for its light did not diminish gradually, but suddenly, as if the source of this brilliance had been abruptly turned off. It then reappeared on the other side of the ship, having either gone around it or under it. At any moment, a fatal collision could have taken place. Nevertheless, I was astonished at the frigate's maneuvers. It was fleeing, not attacking. It was being chased instead of chasing as it should, and I mentioned this to Commander Farragut. His face, ordinarily so impassive, became covered with an indescribable look of astonishment. Mr. Aronnax, he replied, I have no idea what kind of a formidable creature I'm dealing with, and I don't want to risk my frigates foolishly in this darkness. Besides, how can you attack or defend yourself against something when you don't even know what it is? We'll wait for daylight, and then the roles will be reversed. Do you have any more doubts, Commander, as to the nature of the animal? No, it's obviously a gigantic narwhal, and one that can produce electricity. It might perhaps be, I added, some type of animal closer to an electric eel or ray. Perhaps, answered the commander.